yeah. Y'all know what time it is, man. We missed a week, but we back. We back, man. It's Unc and Few in the building. Unc, it's your humble nephew, here right here, Big Stepper, Big Baby J.
Yes, I.
We got Unc on the side right there, Unc football. How we doing on this Sunday morning, man? Best day of the week, man. Best day of
Yeah, it
the
is.
damn week.
Yeah, it is, man.
Uh-oh.
It's football Sunday, right? So it's fantastic. We've had a
Yes,
really couple
sir.
of interesting first weeks. So
Mhm.
hopefully we can make some sense out of the first couple of weeks here. But yeah, man, we're off to a banging start. Once again, man, the NFL never disappoints.
Man, I'm telling you, these first 2 weeks of ball have been fantastic. I'm telling you. And something that I noticed, I don't know if you noticed this, not too many injuries, not too much super drama, but
Yep.
interesting matchups, interesting things that are going on in the league.
Yep.
And I like it, man. Unc, how you feeling about this football
Well,
season so far? How you been feeling about it?
well, I just what I have found most fascinating about the season so far has been the counter narratives versus what
Mhm.
some of us imagined the season was going to look like earlier on in the year, right? Like
Right, right.
Dallas has come out of the gate swinging. All of a sudden,
Yes,
that
sir.
changes everybody's thoughts, right? Russell Wilson comes back from the dead last week to like
The
all make all
return of
his
Russ. The
make all
return of
his
Russ, man. What did you expect that? What the hell?
I know. I didn't see that coming like at all.
Me neither at all, bro.
So
Yeah.
and then there's been and then there's been like the disappointment of some of the rookie running backs that people thought were just going to come in and smash based on the way
Fantasy.
the league turned into a bit of a running back league last year. Some people
Right,
had
right.
certain players penciled in for like dynamite starts out of the gate. Even the narrative that Harbaugh himself, which combines both those narratives, Hampton and Harbaugh, thought that Harbaugh was just going to come out smash mouth. Instead, he's
Right.
come out flinging the ball all over the place with
Yes,
Justin Herbert. Why? Because look at his first couple of opponents, right? They're,
yes. The
you know,
secondary, the matchups, and let me tell you something. This boy is looking MVP like, man. And when I
yeah,
say
he looks
MVP,
great.
I didn't I'm keeper. I did not see that coming. I did not. Of all the
Well,
people, as great as he is, when I say great, I mean he is actually great. I did not see Justin Herbert coming out and looking this good this early, man. And
well,
what do you think that is? What are your thoughts on that, man?
I think Herbert and Trevor Lawrence have both sort of suffered from enhanced expectations, which is normal, right? Like
Right.
they are prototypical quarterbacks. Um,
Mm.
but unfortunately, Herbert hasn't really, maybe not the game scheming, maybe just a few too many interceptions, right? I mean, think about it. He's on what, year 4 or 5 of his career now?
I think
And
five, yeah. Getting
yeah,
on
we've
number 4.
we've seen splashes of greatness, but the Chargers as a whole haven't really sort of done that. Well, Herbert's come out with some new scheming, and they kind of let him loose with his legs too, right? Like the guy's a big dude; he's like 6'6". Like
Oh, he's massive.
if he
Yeah.
gets 2 steps, right, he's a bit of a truck to stop. So
Hmm.
yeah, I just think that he's feeling invigorated under Harbaugh's offensive schemings. Yep.
I'm gonna say this. Somebody that Ravens fans hate, but guess what? He's pulling up some magic up there in damn in Charger land. Greg Roman. He's the
Yep.
OC. He's the
Yep.
OC, and you would expect the Greg Roman offense to be run heavy. Actually,
That,
not really. He's actually adapted a lot to Justin Herbert, and they are flinging that football around. People
yeah.
have Jackson, I think that's his name, the receiver. He's
Yeah.
giving you all kinds of fantasy points. We're gonna get on that
Yeah.
real soon. But before we
Yeah.
get to that, yeah, did you get
Quentin
him? Did you prove it?
Johnson.
Quentin
Quentin
Johnson, my bad.
Johnson is his name, I
Yeah.
think, right? I mistakenly
Mm,
called him Jefferson on our first podcast, but yeah, Quentin
yeah.
Johnson. I
Crazy.
grabbed. He's one of the guys I grabbed in some of my leagues right away, and people are now knocking
Right.
on the door, right? So, like, I'm not saying he's like those are three competent receivers there, and I think they're all going to eat. But right now, Quentin Johnson seems to be the preferred receiver. So yes, exciting things are happening in Charger land.
And guess what? I picked up Lad McConkey in the draft, so that's my guy. I'm gonna see. He's been
Yeah.
giving me some dividends in terms of fantasy. But before we get to that, we gotta talk about the worst team in the AFC West. I know. It sounds crazy to talk about the worst team in the AFC West were the runners up last year. I'm talking about the Chiefs. And ain't no Taylor Swift magic this year, brother. What are your thoughts about the Kansas City Chiefs? I mean Chiefs, my bad. My bad. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
And
Where
it's
that
by
come
a
from?
lot too. It's by a lot too. Like they're the
Pretty
only
bad,
0 and
bro.
2, they're the only 0 and 2 team in the division, and
Yes, sir.
they've allowed more points than they've scored. So very uncharacteristic of the Kansas City Chiefs, absolutely.
Mm,
And now, so the question becomes, right? 0 and 2 teams, that's
yeah.
quite a conversation when it comes to how NFL teams have done as far as making the playoffs and winning divisions and Super Bowls as teams that start out 0 and 2. So here on this
Right.
podcast, we've done the research, so you don't have to.
There you go.
Since 1990, what's often called the modern era of the game, I'm not sure why they choose that time, but it is an interesting jumping off point. Anyway, so that's 35 years. Over the last 35 years,
Right.
there have been 35 out of 288 teams that started 0 and 2. No, pardon me, 28 teams that started 0 and 2. Pardon me, 288 teams that have started 0 and 2 since 1990. Only 35 have made the playoffs. So that's
Wow.
12%.
Mm,
19 won division titles, so that's 6%, and only three won the Super Bowl that started 0 and 2. And I'll tell you who those teams are: the
no.
1993 Dallas Cowboys, who went on to win the Super Bowl that year, of course, obviously, right? But that was their
Yes,
second
sir.
of two, right? They'd won the year
Mm.
before. So that was a repeat team. And the reason they started 0 and 2 is because Emmett Smith was holding out,
Yeah, it
right?
was the holdout year for Emmitt Smith. I think I remember that.
No,
Yeah.
no hold ins back then, right? So he was sitting at home in
Mm.
Florida, his feet on the couch, watching his team get their ass kicked 2 games in a row. At which point, a very different management strategy back then. They called him up immediately and said, all right, let's sort it out. And then they were on their merry way, right? Like I think they
Right, right.
finished like 13 and 3, right? Or 12 and 4. Like they didn't win, they didn't lose many games after that season.
No.
Now, the second of the three examples is the 2001 Patriots with the year that Brady emerged. So
Mm.
that's just kind of an outlier. That one doesn't really make
Mm.
that much sense. Nor does the third one, which is 2007, when the New York Giants won with Eli Manning. Okay, so
Mm.
in both those instances, we have examples of what we now know to be winners as quarterbacks, guys who performed above and beyond in the historical lens, looking backwards in
Right,
the retrospect. So we're not
right.
really surprised by that. But so there are only three examples of teams that started 0 and 2 that went on to win Super Bowls. And they were some pretty special teams or
And
had special players.
I'll say this: those teams also had good to great defenses, brother.
Yep.
I see a correlation right there. The 2001 Patriots team. I wasn't watching football that much back then, but I know they had this guy Teddy Bruschi. They had Ty
Mm-hmm.
Law. I think they had Willie McGinnis. That was the early part of that dynasty. And of course, you
Yes.
have Bill Belichick, the
It,
greatest defensive coordinator in
it was the
football. I won't
first
say the
one.
greatest coach. Yep,
It
that
was,
was the first one.
yeah.
Hmm.
And so, but okay, but then again, now let's look at the thing that binds us here. Tom
Right.
Coughlin, Tom Coughlin,
Tom Coughlin. Yes, sir. Yes,
proven
sir. Yes,
coach,
sir.
defensive minded coach. Bill Belichick,
Mm.
proven
Right.
coach,
Defensive coach.
obviously, defensive
Mm.
schemer, all that, right? It was defensive schemes that won that game, by the way. Obviously, they stopped the greatest
Right.
show on turf, right? Held them to 20 points or whatever it was.
That
And
was
then
a standout.
the other one, of course, is
Jimmy
one of the
Johnson.
greatest. Yeah, one of the greatest teams of all time, Jimmy Johnson. We're
Right.
talking offense, but even though he was an offensive-minded guy, he had great offensive tools. He started every team on defense, core defense, right?
Mm.
So,
Right.
so yeah, that team was built on defense before they did anything. So, like, yeah, you're talking about three defensive-minded, almost genius-like coaches that pulled that off, and we've got a good one. We've got a good one in Andy
Mm.
Reid. So you
We got
cannot
Steve
count out the
Spagnuolo.
Chiefs. I will not count out the Chiefs simply because
Mm-hmm.
we've been proven wrong by them on way too many occasions. I don't
Right.
think they make the Super Bowl, but I don't believe that they're just going to check out. So in other words, to answer to the question posed, I do not believe they're already cooked. They'll be the
I'll
exception.
say, I'll say it like this, man. I hate to say it, but I'm in agreement with you, man. This question was a trap question. Are the Chiefs already cooked? It was a trap question. I like playing man games, man. Y'all get used to this,
Yeah.
man. You've been
Well,
watching us for 4 seasons. You know what time it is. They are not
well,
cooked.
it,
They're
it
not
it's
cooked. They're
actually
not.
it's very easy to say that the Chiefs are cooked, right? The
Yes, easy,
receivers,
yeah.
they got receiver troubles. Pacheco isn't doing crap. Their
Mhm.
lead rusher is Mahomes. Like it looks like it'd be easy to say that's it. It's not your year, boys. Forget it. Right? It's
Mhm.
your turn to have a Super Bowl hangover, but I'm not doing that with the Chiefs, man. Not with this team. Nope.
I'll say it like this, man. Literally, the Chiefs are 2 plays away from being 2-0. When I say
Yep.
2 plays, I'll get specific. In that Chargers versus Chiefs game, if they stopped Justin Herbert on that critical third down play to end the game, you don't think the Mahomes would have came back and they would have won that game in Brazil? They would have it would have happened. The second thing, if you look at that Eagles game, if Travis Kelsey doesn't borderline fumble that interception, if Kelsey holds on to that football and gets in the end zone like he's been doing for most of his Hall of Fame career,
Yeah.
they're up. They're up in that game. And they have a chance to beat the Eagles. Let me tell you something about the Eagles. The Eagles are a very fraudulent 2-0 team. They have fraud written all over them. Remember how last year you and me were
we
talking
said
about the fraud 15-1 Chiefs?
well,
The
we said
Eagles are having that type of season. They are winning by the skin of their teeth. In
but
other words, I'm saying that the Chiefs, my point is the Chiefs have a chance to go on a run
yeah.
very, very soon. But I will say something that's going to shock some people. They are on upset alert tonight. I'm talking about the Giants could beat this type of Chiefs team. Will the Chiefs make the playoffs? I think they will, but they will
Yeah.
go. It will go down to week 18. But upset alert. That's a little lines and spreads thing I was going to talk to you
I
about
was
on
gonna say,
the
well, I
Giants. The Giants are on huge upset alert for the Chiefs. Go ahead.
I was tempted to jump in on both of those, but you're right. We're gonna discuss both those teams at some length
We're going to
later
talk about it.
in the podcast. So let's keep it clipping,
Absolutely.
brother.
It's the fact. I'm gonna tell you something like this, man. 0-2 teams are not created the same, right? 0-2
No,
teams are not created the same. And when I say
no.
0-2 teams are not created the same, I'm saying the damn Chiefs could lose 2 more games and I can see them making the playoffs. But guess which team is already cooked? 0-2 and already we're talking about the Miami Dolphins. I wish this Miami team was like the Hurricanes Miami team that I watched last night, which was
Did you
a
watch that
fantastic
game?
football. It was great, man. Yes.
Right? Same
The
here,
the
man.
ending the
As a
ending
floor,
was anticlimactic, but the
yeah.
Hurricanes, the Canes, brother. What are your thoughts,
as,
man?
as a as a Florida guy and a Canes fan, right? And a guy who
Yeah,
really hates the Gators and the Seminole programs, not really the programs themselves, but more like their fans. They're really
right,
entitled and privileged, right? Miami's more relatable in that way. And let
right.
me tell you, buddy, I made sure I penciled that game in to watch last night, and I was thoroughly entertained. I was not disappointed, man. That was at first I thought Miami was going to just slap Florida hard, but Florida, to their credit, came back and played well. Anyways, yeah.
Right.
So let's
I say
carry
it
on,
like
man.
this. Just our little college football talk on the side. Mario Cristobal has this team playing really good, and I can't wait for FSU versus the Canes in a few weeks. Those will
Yeah,
be two
dude.
top 10 teams. I'm excited for that. We'll talk about it when the time comes. I'm excited for that
Oh,
game. Just a
dude.
heads up.
Yeah, yeah. I have a lot of memories from those rivalries, so I'll be happy to talk about that when the time comes for sure.
Love it. Let's talk about a shitty Miami team, though.
Yep.
This is so bad, guys. So bad. And guys, credit where credit is due. The Dolphins did have that game. We're talking about the Bills versus Miami game that we saw on Thursday night. The game was close. By the way, if y'all are watching, smash that like button. Best way to support me and Unc as we go through this journey together, season four more. Uh, the
Like
Dolphins.
and subscribe.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Salute. And by the way, Unc is going to be having his own new things coming up, so we're gonna plug him in when the time is right. Um, the thing about the Dolphins is they actually made this game competitive closer to the end
Yeah.
until that I think roughing the kicker penalty, something like that, that really shifted the game, and obviously that interception by Tua. Unc, let me know, man. What are your thoughts about this spiraling Dolphins team that last year or a few years ago they put up 70 on the Broncos? They destroyed
Think
the
about that.
Baltimore Ravens in the fourth quarter.
Think
Some
about that.
crazy offense.
Think
Now,
about that.
let us know, Unc, what's going on, bro.
Yeah. Can we use the words figured out? In other words, they people have figured out Mike McDaniel's how to defend him and all that type of thing. But right now, it just seems like I'm not really sure how the wheels have come off, except to say that people have just simply figured out his schemes. Um,
Right.
because it's not like they don't have decent players and whatnot, although like their lines are problematic. So of course, when that's the case, everybody else suffers, right? But we
Right.
saw a reasonable game out of Tyreek Hill, reasonable game out of Tua. But the only, it just Miami just looks like they're just dysfunctional in the locker room. That it's not going to be working for them. To their credit, they covered the spread. That was my first. I started the week off well. 12 and a half points. I had a feeling Buffalo, after a couple of really emotional opening weeks, was going to not backslide, but just give, less than, they would lock it down early, right? And that's exactly what happened, right? Like the Bills put on a clinic of just outperforming the other team. They outperformed them in every single offensive metric. The only metrics that
Right.
the Bills out or the Bills got outperformed in by the Dolphins was in penalties and picks, right? So they weren't too stressed out about that, right?
Real talk.
Solid 10-point win going away. At no point did they ever really feel threatened by the Dolphins. And so they just kind of took it easy, I think, as the game went on after, an intense couple of weeks, right? So that's 3 games in 16 days or something since the season opened.
Right.
So
Right.
the Bills were happy just to lock that down early and get it out of the way. But yeah, man, like for fantasy purposes, like Achan is your only really reliable asset. Some weeks
Right.
Tyreek will probably be okay, but starting locked in starter week to week, Achan's your only guy. And let me tell you, like he's a bit fragile. He's like 5'9", 5'8". He's slight. He's right around 200 pounds, I think,
Right.
190 maybe. So like he will most likely have an injury at some time. And the player that is emerging, though, in Miami's backfield is a guy named
Hmm.
Ollie Gordon.
Right.
And people were concerned about how much work he would get. But who is it? Waddle is their other running back, I think. And like him or Jalen Warren. I always get them mixed up. But anyways, or
It's a guy called Malik
Jalen
Washington.
Wright
So
or
it's
whatever it is. Yeah.
Malik Washington, Achan, and Gordon. Those three run
Oh, okay. So
are in
they
the
don't even
yeah.
have Jalen Wright. Pardon me. Okay,
Yeah.
so there you go. Right. So Ollie Gordon. Now the stars are kind of aligning as some of us had hoped in the early season they would. So he's now in line to start getting regular running back 2 touches to spell
Yeah.
Achan,
Yeah.
and he really made the most of them the other night. He put up almost 10 fantasy points for owners who probably had him on the bench anyways, right? Because everybody's
That's what
sitting,
I'm
they're
saying.
waiting to see, right? He's one of these guys that fantasy owners hopefully feel can blow up the back end of their season and be one of these emerging rookie running backs that eventually does well. And he looks like he's off to a good start for that. The
Right.
other thing to remember about this Ollie Gordon guy is that he didn't have a great final season, senior season, but the year before that, he won the Doak Walker Award, which is like the most valuable productive player in college football. So the guy
Oh.
has a very high ceiling of potential.
Okay. I like the fact that they're using him in goal line situations. So they're using him as a power back to balance him with Achan. I think that's
Right.
a good. I think that's a good move. That's a good move, honestly,
Well,
because He's a 6'2",
Achan
225, so he's a big body. You know what I mean?
Achan is your big play breakaway guy, right? Like he's very explosive in that
Exactly.
regard, like Saquon Barkley in a way. Like that guy can drop
Right.
60 on you in one play, right? But most of his
Yeah.
activity, Achan, is between the 20s. So yeah,
Yeah.
like Ollie Gordon's lined up for he may pay off for a lot of fancy managers.
I definitely can see that. And you know what? Let me tell you something that I noticed about specifically the Bills. They have an underrated defense, man.
Yes.
Underrated defense. And I think Ed Oliver wasn't in the game. Matt Milano wasn't in the game. We're talking about really impactful D lineman and with their
Yes.
best linebacker, and they still won. And they won by a defensive play. So this is 2 weeks that we see over three-week period, 3 game period, that they've had a clutch defensive play, whether that be a fumble, forced fumble, or a
Right.
pick in the clutch to win them games. And that's we're gonna talk about this a bit later. This is why they're one of the top teams. Big credit to Josh Allen, and I noticed this about Josh Allen this game: a lot of underneath throws, a lot of checkdowns, which is not
Yep.
normal for him, but it works. If it's working, keep it going. And let me tell you something about Miami. Miami, they're the inverse. Their defense can't stop a nosebleed, fam. It is so bad. It's just like it's arm tackles. It's no pursuit, no adapting, reacting. Hey man, I'm telling you, somebody said that there's a chance Miami might go 0-17, and
Yeah.
I'm
Hard
like, they're they're
hard
they're,
to
they're on that alert, bro.
Yeah, that's hard to accomplish, right? But who knows,
Yeah.
man? That the division is stronger this year in the East, so that means that they've got like 6 games that you could probably pencil in losses for just about all of them.
Which is
Anyway,
crazy
yeah,
to think about. Yeah, yeah. It's
Miami not
crazy.
look Miami not looking good.
Not looking good at all. And we're gonna move on and talk about another team that's not looking good. We're gonna talk about a lot of teams that are not looking good before we get to the real good. And we're gonna introduce a new segment to that. But another team that looks absolutely disgusting, brother, is this Chicago Bears, bro. The Chicago disaster. I call it the Chicago tragedy. And the reason I want to highlight Chicago is because we don't talk about Chicago much. But you know what's interesting? Chicago is one of the biggest markets in the United States, period, in terms of just markets for media. But in terms of
Yeah.
sports cities, it's a massive sports city. But
Yes.
one thing that's huge about Chicago is that they had a lot of promise for their savior, Mr. Caleb Williams. But guess what happened? They got spanked with 52 points to 21. And what made this narrative very, very interesting is that this was the return of Ben Johnson, right? In Detroit, and you'd expect, okay, he knows this team, he's gonna come up giving some fire. Brother, it was not competitive. 52, a 50 burger, the first 50 piece of the season to 21. Unc, what were your thoughts? What are your quick hits regarding
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
disaster clash? You know what I mean?
Perhaps if Chicago didn't come into a pissed off hornet's nest that was Detroit, who
Mm,
had their doors blown off by Green Bay the week before, right?
oh,
So here comes Detroit back home. Jared Goff, the indoor cat, back in his favorite place, right? And they were in a mood. Detroit was in a
right.
mood, and they were not in the mood for Caleb Johnson or McDonald coming
Caleb
back,
Williams.
with some
Mm.
glorious return and all that kind of thing. No sirree. And some people have actually pointed out saying that some people are underselling the charisma and the magic of their head coach Dan Campbell, and that good as
Mm,
McDonald is, and he is, but that the guy who really unites Detroit and really gets them inspired to do their greatest is still Dan Campbell, right? And that he hasn't gone anywhere. And so some of this talk of the Lions' demise was just a little bit early, shall we say. And they sure
man,
showed it. Oh my goodness. They basically lapped.
that's
These are my
crazy.
notes. Lions lapped the Bears all day. And it started from the first quarter, right? Like, look at every quarter. Twice as many yards, twice as many points on the board. Like it was a
Right.
technical clinic in lapping the other team. You know what the irony is? They had the
What's
exact
up?
same time of possession almost. How does
Wow.
that happen, right? um, 4 sacks for the Detroit Lions. Bears
Mm.
played sloppy, and they only had one standout, and that's Rome Odunze, right?
Roma
Rome
Doomsday,
may,
yes, to play great.
Rome may
Yeah.
not have been built in a day, but it sure looks like it showed up in week 2. Holy gee, or
Straight
year
up.
two.
Straight up.
Year two
Straight
of
up.
Roma Dunze's career. Roma Dunze looks like he is now the number one wide receiver in Chicago. So take that to
Mhm.
the bank. That looks to be the thing. So he was undervalued in draft. So Dunze owners are happy to see that. But he was the only player of any significance on the whole team. Whereas you had Goff, 334 yards and 5 TDs. Amon St. Brown went crazy.
Okay.
Both Gibbs and Montgomery, like they combined
Mhm.
together for 150, 160 yards, couple TDs. Like everybody produced in Detroit. It was
Yeah.
a beautiful thing to watch.
And my thing is about this game is that it was a route from the beginning, man.
Yep.
And the thing is, if you come look at this, something interesting to note is Aaron Glenn with the Jets, 0-2. Ben Johnson with the Chicago Bears, 0-2. But Dan Campbell and his Lions are 1 and
Right.
1.
That's
So
my
you're
point.
talking about you're looking at a reverse situation where you think, okay, the coordinators leave, the team is naturally going to get worse. No, the coordinators
Yeah.
left, and the coordinators' teams got worse, or they
So
stayed the same. So you're thinking about the logic here. You're like, okay, was it really the coordinators who had that Detroit Lions
yeah.
engine going, or was it always Dan Campbell, like you
Who
said,
made who?
and I think it's plainly clear that
Yeah.
them guys in Detroit are playing really well, and maybe that Green Bay game was an anomaly and not the norm. You understand what I'm
Or
saying?
maybe
We're
Green
gonna
or
get to that a
maybe
bit later.
Green Bay or maybe Green Bay is just really scary good this year.
Oh, we're gonna get on that exactly. Maybe maybe that team is just different. You know what I mean? Because there's levels to teams. We talked about this. There's
Yeah.
levels to 2-0 teams, as we said. But the Chicago Bears, I want to talk about the Chicago Bears for the simple fact that our media culture, our quarterback culture has gotten really ridiculous. And I say this because of Caleb Williams. And I'm not saying that Caleb Williams is not a problem because definitely he has some things to fix. I want us just to circle and talk about him slightly for a little bit because the simple fact is he's being used as a scapegoat, and I don't like it because the
No.
Chicago Bears defense let another team put 52 on them.
Yeah.
52 on your defense, and you want to blame a quarterback in year
Yeah.
two? You want to
I,
put it all on Caleb? I
I'll
don't
be
get it.
honest with
Okay,
you
talk
here.
about it. Go
I'll
ahead.
be honest with you here. Just for the
Right.
eye test, I believe Caleb has progressed from last year. I think he looks better than he looked last year. The guy's scary
Mm.
quick, and he is going to have to learn to take 5% off of some of his throws. Like the guy's got an arm. Like he's kind of like John Elway in a way. And Elway took a couple of years to sort of like dial it down enough so that his passes were comfortably and consistently caught. And I agree with your point. This isn't really on Caleb, although I think he had a couple of picks. But like he looks better than he looked last year. So let's hopefully the rest of the team and their defense, like you mentioned, can
Oh,
bring it up a little bit because Caleb. It would be a shame to see them waste this resource. I don't think he's anybody's second coming, but the guy can clearly play football.
and that's the problem with a lot of modern NFL media, or at least the modern landscape, where people are already talking about him getting benched. Are you serious? Like
That's
the
just
Chicago
dumb.
media and people, like, you really thinking about benching one of your bright sides of your pathetic team? It's not a good look. And for me, I'm just disappointed that that things are accelerating this level to think that a guy in year two should be the second coming of Peyton Manning, bro. Chill. Y'all need to chill. You know what I
They
mean?
want to they want to
Crazy
bench
times, brother.
if they want to bench somebody, let them bench DeAndre Swift.
Oh man. Everybody better have sat him or dropped him in their fantasy. What a disappointment, man. Swift has like one good run a game and ends up being shitty the rest of the game, brother.
You know what?
What? Go ahead.
And the only place he ever did well is in Dan Campbell's system, and he was garbage in
Right.
he was garbage in Philly too, man. I made sure I got absolutely precisely zero DeAndre Swift in my drafts this year.
Hey man, crazy facts. Y'all make sure you like the content, get in the chat, talk to us. One thing I do feel bad for, the Bengals, brother. The
Mm,
Bengals. We're talking about Joe Burrow out again. Turf toe injury. They're saying 3 months from Adam Schefter.
yeah,
Mid, early to mid December is the earliest he can come back. But credit to the Bengals. They won their game. They won
yep.
their game. But Unc, what were your thoughts about this crazy division shifting narrative of the Bengals losing their star quarterback and actually
Well,
beating the Jags with Jake Browning? Crazy. Yeah.
I was debating taking him as my sort of sneaky quarterback this year, like sort of
Mhm.
to avoid taking guys like Lamar or Josh
Mhm.
Allen in the first 2 3 rounds. I thought maybe I might wait, to the fifth round to get to get him Joe Burrow. I keep wanting to call him Carson Palmer because it seems like such a continuity over the years. Like they get these stud quarterbacks. Anyways,
Similar for number one pick. Yeah.
right. So let me cut to the
Yeah.
quick though, because obviously it's very disappointing to see that happen to Burrow. We've all been very excited to see just what type of numbers he might have been able to put up this year. But his
Right.
season's cooked, right? 90 days might even be more like 100, all that type of thing. Turf toe is one of those real just, it's like an injury that like you just have to let it heal. There's no way if you rush it back, it only gets worse.
Okay.
So, anyways, let me break down the reasons why people who have stock in the Bengals, either as fans or as fantasy managers, should not panic. However, Jake
No.
Browning is not Joe Burrow, but he
No.
plays in the same system and he has many of the same talents. They drafted him for a reason, right? Because they run this type of season. The guy is actually the main difference between him and Burrow is that Browning throws more picks, right? He threw 3 picks last week. But the guy still had like 20 plus fantasy points, right? Because let me tell you, this same scenario occurred 2 years ago, I think it was in 2023,
Yes, it
where
did. Yeah, I remember.
Joe Burrow was
Mhm.
out for I think 6 games or some period like that. And let me tell you, Jake Browning was the number four overall fantasy quarterback in that stretch that Joe Burrow was out. So
Mm,
he is going to put up volume. He's going to throw more picks. He probably gets sacked a couple times more. But as far as the stock of Chase Brown, T. Higgins as receivers, there are receivers, running backs, and Jamar Chase, right? So those two wide receivers and that running back, they won't have a dramatic drop off in their productivity. They may be
mm,
down a little bit, especially T. Higgins, perhaps. But
mm.
uh, yeah, Browning knows how to put the ball in the air, right? He is going to get, I think he averaged something like 267, 270 yards in that stretch in 2023 that I was referencing.
Right,
So
right.
that ain't nothing.
That ain't nothing, man. And I think he led. This is gonna sound crazy. I think he led the whole NFL in completion percentage. The man was completing 70% of his passes. He threw 12 touchdowns. But you're right. He does throw picks. He threw 7 picks, and he had a 9 game stretch where he essentially was leading the ship uh for the
Yeah,
for the Bengals. I'm not saying that he's going to somehow put them in playoff position. Could I see Jake Browning winning 4, maybe 5 games in a 10 game stretch? Yes, I
right.
could see it, or maybe a 9 game
But
stretch. Could
but
I
they've
see
already
him
won
maybe winning?
two,
They've
right?
already won
So
two. Right,
so we're
right,
so that puts
exactly.
them at that puts them at what 7, 8 wins, like
Yeah, 7, 8
oh,
wins. Yeah, 7, 8
right.
wins going
So
into December. That's pretty good. Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
were you expecting that much more from the Bengals this season, right? Like, knowing what we know, right? Or imagining
Right.
what we know, right? Like, we don't know exactly how it's going to play out or how it would have played out even with Burrow. But, like, yeah, they got off
Mm.
to, like, They're better than the Steelers. They're better than Baltimore right now. It's
Better
early
than
games, right?
Baltimore. They're the number one team in the AFC North. I'm not playing.
Right.
That's a fact. This
That
is a
that is the
certified
fact.
fact. And
Ha-
they're playing.
Having
I'm not too
scored,
sure. They're playing the
having
Vikings.
scored a lot of points.
They
Anyway,
scored
sorry,
a lot
carry
of
on.
points.
Hmm.
Yeah. And they're playing the Vikings today, one and
Right?
one with JJ McCarthy out of there. I think Carson Wentz is playing. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. If you got Carson Wentz versus Jake Browning, who would have expected that QB battle? You know what I mean?
Right.
But we gonna see what happens, y'all. Like I said, bruh, Jake Browning, sneaky good backup. Is he the best
Although,
backup? Sneaky good backup. All I'm saying.
let me just say, this one thing.
Go ahead.
Brian Flores is probably not the man to try on this week. If I was a fantasy manager, if I had an
Mm,
option other than Flores, Minnesota defense for Jake Browning,
yes.
given those three picks that he had in the game last week, like I would find another option for this week. But I would keep him available to stream if that's what you, or if you have a 2 QB league, super flex, that type of thing. Like Browning's very viable in the right situation. Going against Minnesota and Brian Flores defense this week, maybe not.
That might be a little rough. That might be a little rough. But I'm gonna tell you because we're gonna talk about some rough things a bit later, bro. But let me talk to you about a team that we're gonna talk about them more in depth later. But this team is impressing me so much, so damn much. Talking about the Green Bay Packers, man. And
Yeah.
talking about injured quarterbacks, our boy Jaden Daniels is out. By the way, y'all gotta get on it. Jaden Daniels is out this week. I believe uh, Marcus Mariota, not Mariota, Marcus Mariota is going to be starting instead for the Commanders. The
Mm.
Commanders got absolutely crushed. They got destroyed. They got embarrassed. They got their ass whooped. They got spanked. They got absolutely whooped by the dominant Green Bay Packers. And we've been talking about three teams that are trash. We've been talking about injured quarterbacks. Let me go on a pause. Let's talk about some positivity now, man. Let's talk about the Packers absolutely spanking the Commanders, bro. And the scores don't really tell you what actually happened. Unc, what were your thoughts of that Commanders versus Green Bay game, brother? What were your thoughts?
Well, as soon as you said whoop, right? I rewatched Hustle and Flow last week just because I found it somewhere for
Whoop
free,
that trick.
and all of a sudden all I can hear is whoop that trick because that is
Whoop
exactly
that
what
trick.
happened. Holy crap, that is exactly what happened, man.
Felt the
Uh,
ass.
like to put it another way, they also got trucked, right? Uh,
Mm.
Tucker Craft, they're calling him the Ice Road Trucker, right? Because up in
Whoa,
Green
I
Bay
wrote,
with all the guys.
whoa.
So
Okay.
here's how it is with Green Bay right now. The main difference with them right now is getting Micah Parsons. They now have a ferocious pass rush that I don't think
Right.
anybody saw coming. And it kind of reminds me of when Green Bay traded for way back in the early '90s, traded for the Minister of Defense, a man named Reggie White, who was like the
Reggie.
premier free agent, rushing agent at that time. And
Mm.
people couldn't figure out how Green Bay was going to manage to get this Southern boy all the way up there. And, but they convinced him they could win a Super Bowl together. And that's what he did. And he gave them that extra element they needed to move forward.
Yep.
Again, with a gunslinger quarterback in Brett Favre that absolutely reminds you of Jordy Love. Like this team reminds me very much of those '90s Packers. Now that they have Micah Parsons in there, the only thing they have to
Mm.
really worry about is their secondary, but that hasn't been an issue to this point. They haven't really been giving it up down there
Mm.
right now. So think about it. They got the run game. They've got a
Mm.
series of wide receivers. They've got a dominant tight end wide receiver who is literally on
Mm.
pace, who's literally on pace for like 75, 80 receptions and 1,200 yards. Like we all recognize those as dominant
Wow.
numbers for a tight end, right?
Wow.
Now, that's
Right.
only a 2 game sample, but those are the type of numbers he's putting up so far, right? So he's living up to that potential that we're talking about. Jaden Daniels may be injured right now, but we're looking to hopefully see Golden emerge, but they've also got Wicks,
Yeah.
Romeo Dobbs, steady veteran. Like he's got a Jordan Love has a ton of good receivers that he can target. And his offensive line appears to be very solid. So there's really
Yeah.
only one weakness in Green Bay's game, and they look like they're ready to take it to another level this year. And I'm a believer. Oh, I'm a believer in this team.
I'm a big believer, man. And by the way, how can your corners or DBs get tested when there's a D lineman in front of the quarterback's face? How can you
Precisely.
even test it
Exactly.
when there's already a D lineman in a mother effer's face? You know what
Right.
I mean? Like, how can you even check it out? You can't. So
This
Jaden
is
Daniels, I'm telling you, that was one of his worst games. But it's not on him. It's because the D lineman, Micah
yeah.
Parsons, Rashad Gary,
Oh
and a
my
bunch
goodness.
of people
Woo.
who were in front
Mika
of that man's
Parsons
face. It was crazy, bro.
Mika
Yeah, it was
Parsons
nuts.
looks like he was worth every bit of drama and every
Every
dollar that they're
penny.
going to spend on him. Man, oh man, he absolutely changed the nature of their defense. There's no getting
My
around
God.
it. And you're right; those
Right.
those corners are not going to get tested as long as
No.
that O line, or pardon me, that defensive line is streaming into the backfield like that. Where are you going to get a chance to get on your back foot and chuck it? Right? You're not.
No. You're not, because you have so much pressure coming at you, and that's the value of a premium pass rusher. And when you see that, people were making
Absolutely.
memes saying that, Jerry Jones set up a Super Bowl team on the opposite end. He helped the Super Bowl team on the opposite end. And you're
Yeah,
like, yeah, you made
yeah.
a contender on the opposite team, bro.
Jerry
Not your
Jones is
team. You're like,
Jerry
what? Yeah.
Jerry Jones has finally put a team onto the Super Bowl. It just wasn't Dallas.
It was not Dallas. That's the funny part, man. You know what I mean? I'm telling you one thing. There's maybe one real team that can maybe get in their way. We're gonna talk deeper about that a bit later, but it's the former champions. And when we're talking about the former champions, we got to talk about the tush push, man. And this
Yep.
has been a narrative that's been going on. Credit to the Eagles for winning their first two games. They win ugly, but they win games and do majority to this tush push. We haven't really got deep into it, but a lot of people have been talking about potentially banning it. What are your
Well,
thoughts about the rugby play known as the tush push? Go ahead.
isn't that decision already been made? I thought that they had decided
They've
to
already,
allow
they're allowed.
they
Yeah, it's
they've
allowed.
allowed it for this season, so
Yep.
it would appear to be like it's viable going forward, right?
Yes,
Okay,
sir. Yes, sir.
so yes, first things first. It is an old rugby play, so it's absolutely old school football. The tush push was standard practice before the forward pass. So I don't see
Mm,
why there is this bias in trying to eliminate it. Like to me, I think Philadelphia has really they've gotten on to something. They see one of their strengths is their offensive line, and they've come up with a scheme and a plan and a play to take advantage of that. Well, to me, that's football.
right.
And just because you're drawing on the pass doesn't mean that it should be illegal. What are we going to ban the jet sweep? No, of course not. Right. So
Thank you.
what I'm saying is that typical in the NFL, right? It's always point counterpoint. People are just going to have special packages for when somebody's attempting the tush push, because eventually it's going to spread to other teams, right? You're going to need a
Absolutely.
jumbo package on defense to counter the jumbo package they're using on the tush push, right? Because what is the tush push really, right? It's just like I said, it's just a quarterback sneak
Yep.
with extra guys in there, right? And so
Right.
anyway, so yes, I am absolutely in favor of maintaining the tush push, and I believe it's on the other 30 plus teams in the league to like. It's really funny. They're going to have to develop a special teams package, in their special teams room with all those 5'7", 5'8", 5'9", like speedy punt returners, punters, all those guys. You're going to have like two or three 400-pounders in the team picture, right? Because you send
Right.
those guys in when it's a tush push. Because, like, what else are you going to do to counter it?
That honestly, here's the fact. The tush push has been stopped before. Actually, a few times. You know what I mean? It's just that you need the personnel to do it, and you need big MFers who are gonna get lower to the ground than you. Look
It's
at these
just a
guys,
numbers
man.
game. It's
It's
just
a
a numbers
numbers game.
game.
Look at Kelsey, Maylada, Johnson, all these guys. These guys are like 6'3", 300 plus pounds, and they're getting lower than you. And then the key to the tush push, people forget, is Jalen Hurts. Jalen
All your
Hurts, he's stronger than most quarterbacks. He's stronger than a lot of line. He's as strong as a lot of linebackers, and he has strong, powerful feet. Guess what you need to do? You need to get lower than him, lower
Yep,
than them, and actually be bigger than them,
that's
and
it.
that
You
can
gotta
be done. So
you
you
gotta
guys
stand them
are
up
just mad that they're able to have a play that is better than yours. So
because
you know what you do? You get better. You
yeah,
improve. You evolve.
exactly.
That's the
You
game of
have to
football.
innovate. You have to
Yes.
innovate on defense to find a way because the tush push is a
Hmm.
very simple play. All it
Right.
is the quarterback following the center into the end zone, right? Because the center and the line creates a space and a vacuum of a yard or two as they go forward. So the obvious simple thing to do is to have like 4 or 5 guys, huge guys, all bottling up. But of course, we
There you go.
saw what happened last week when Pittsburgh did that against Justin Fields. All he did was bootleg out and walk in the end
Move it
zone
out the other side. There you go. And
two
guess what?
weekends ago.
It's up to the defense to figure it out. And guess what?
Yep.
You know what you can do to stop the tush push too? Stop them on second down.
Okay.
Stop them on first down. Stop them from getting enough yards so that they can keep the drive alive. Or
Stop
here's
them
even
from
better.
getting. Stop them
Stop
from
them from
getting
getting the
within.
football.
Stop them from getting within 5 yards of the end zone. You're damn right. That's
There you go. Stop
exactly
them.
right, JL. That is
Or
exactly
maybe
right.
maybe don't give them the ball. Maybe just keep possession of the ball and run the time of possession, and they don't have enough time to do the tush push. You make them one dimensional, which is the passing game, and then you can make a play on the ball because it's
You know
very
what?
clear that the Eagles are a running team. Go ahead.
The fabulous sports babe from the golden era of 1990s sports talk radio used to say it best: score more points.
Simple. Isn't it funny how that works, right? You score more points, you stop them from doing what they've been doing. You feel what I'm saying?
All these conversations, you can quash all these conversations by just scoring more points.
Very simple, man. And we want y'all to score more points, man. And we want y'all to score points in your fantasy leagues, man. Because we care about y'all, man. We care. We got some fantasy football starts and sits. Who should we be starting? Who should we be sitting, brother? What are you feeling on your end, bro?
One of the things that a lot of people like to do in fantasy sports, for good reasons, fantasy football in particular, is defenses. Some people will like draft a defense if it's very, very good. Like some people like to draft Denver this year or Philadelphia, right? Because they have those outstanding quarters, etc. But for most
Right.
people, the better strategy is to stream defenses week to week, right? So how do you figure
Yeah.
out which team is going to, is best to stream, right? Well, the simple, tried and true method is take a look at what Vegas says is going to be the over-unders for the game. Target games that
Mhm.
have the lowest over-under figure. Like, for example, this week, I think both Cleveland and the Seattle game or something like they're somewhere around in the 40s. But
Right.
also the other key is picking on like bad offenses, teams that you just know aren't going to score a whole bunch of points. And this
Right.
year, that was the New York Giants until last week. Uh, but the other one has been the New Orleans Saints. Or, for example, if you get a
Mm,
team like Cleveland going against, I don't know, Cleveland going against Denver or somebody like that, you
yeah.
just sort of see it's going to be a game where, both teams probably score less than 20 points because that's the cutoff point, right? If the defense that you stream allows the other team to score 20 points or more, you get 0 points, right? And now you're
Right.
relying on that defense to get interceptions, pick sixes for points, right? So ideally, you want to stream a defense that will most likely keep the other team to a low point total. That's the safest way to do it. And this week, that game is probably going to be Green Bay at Cleveland. I would say to stream Cleveland, except that I don't trust them to stop. Green Bay from, scoring 24, 25 points, right? So,
Right.
yeah, Cleveland has a fearsome rush. They might get some sacks on Jordy Love, but the idea of them getting interceptions, pick sixes, or anything like that is, yeah, right? Whereas Green Bay might very
Right.
well do that, right? The other
Okay.
one is Seattle playing against New Orleans. Seattle has a solid defense to begin with, and New Orleans just looks like a dumpster fire as far as scoring points goes.
Right.
So that might be safe for streaming there. Um, in quarterback streams, again, you're looking for high scoring games, not necessarily the biggest, highest premier quarterback, but quarterbacks that have running potential, right? Because that's a
Right.
big underrated thing in fantasy these days. Is quarterbacks that have running potential automatically seem to get you more points in the aggregate, right? So good
Oh,
ones
for
for this
sure.
week. I think Bryce Young going against Atlanta. The NFC South typically has often like kind of wild, high scoring games.
Yeah.
So for a quarterback in that one, Penix kind of showed himself to be kind of a conservative quarterback last week. They relied on the run game, so I wouldn't recommend him necessarily. But Bryce Young, I believe, is capable of doing good things. Also, Drake May in the Pittsburgh game. Drake May is showing himself to be both him and Daniel Jones are showing themselves to be competent fantasy assets at the quarterback position simply because
For
of their
sure.
legs. Their legs. And Bo
Oh
Nix,
yeah.
too. Both
Mm.
Lawrence and Stroud, they're playing each other today. They both are going against defenses that are a bit suspect, so they might show out. Baker Mayfield also. Rodgers possibly also for Pittsburgh. But
Right.
again, none of those guys are going to give you a running upside. For
No.
sits, like I say, I'm kind of on the fence about Bo Nix, but chances are he'll do okay. I have a feeling that Chargers Denver game may end up being a bit of a barn burner just because it's the AFC West, right? Um,
Right.
and Herbert, though, but Herbert again, I would be cautious about playing Herbert just because that Denver secondary it really is outstanding. Stafford, Browning, Love, and Jones. Again, I'm cautious about them just simply because they're playing very competent defenses. But like if you drafted Jordy Love, you're playing them. That's it, right?
Right.
Or if you're in two tight end leagues or two quarterback leagues, etc., you're playing them regardless. At tight end, I would say there's not a lot of guys that are like on the waiver wire that you're going to pick up to stream if that's your strategy. But
Yeah.
Brenton Strange might be one of those guys. Zach Ertz is surprising people with he's having a bit of a renaissance as Jaden Daniels and just
Yeah. Yeah.
The Washington tight end in general. Pitts
Yeah.
looks lined up for a good game, as well as Jawan Johnson, who is emerging as a must-have asset if you stream tight ends, or if you were disappointed, like say you had Evan Ingram as a tight end in Denver, and all of a sudden
Right.
he's looking like completely washed and useless, right?
He is.
Jawan Johnson is the guy to get. As a replacement there, because he's looking to be like the one sole asset that Spencer Rattler trusts. And the other one, of course, is going to be Alvin Kamara. There are not a lot of good fantasy assets in New Orleans, but Jawan Johnson is one of them.
That
Rookie running
mustache
backs
too.
have been
I like the mustache.
right. Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
that's
the
right.
mustache.
Huh? Look at
Old
that
school.
power handlebar mustache for real.
Let's get it.
um, Running backs, I think we all know who they are. You can take a look and see. The biggest question
All right.
people have are with some of these rookie running backs like Omari and Hampton. I'm not ready to put these guys on an ice flow quite yet. Chances are you drafted them early, so you got to ride through it. But if you have other options, until guys like Omari and Hampton start producing like you thought they were going to be, you should be looking at other people. For example, I had Omari and Hampton in one league and was so shocked how the first one went down. I went out right away and got Javonte Williams in Dallas, who went
Good.
undrafted in a lot of leagues because people just didn't trust him. But all of a sudden, he's on a Dallas team that looks like they're going to play like Cincinnati does in the AFC. They're just going to chuck it all season and let the offense do the job. So Javonte Williams is suddenly looking like a stud no one imagined, right? So you want to
Huge.
grab
Huge for
guys like
fantasy.
that
Yeah.
if you're saddled with a rookie running back. Okay, the other one's Caleb Johnson, looked like just an idiot the other day in Pittsburgh's backfield. Like he just is not helping out. So there's a few guys that I think people imagined would be in this running back friendly NFL this year and last year thought would do better than they have. So you need to be looking around for possibly some other options. J.K. Dobbins, for example, and Ramondre Stevenson again are because some of these rookies, like the other thing too with rookies, they don't always block like you like, right? So
Right.
you can't,
Ashton Gently.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. There's another one that, yeah,
Yeah.
you can't give up on him yet either, because like they are going to start to probably emerge, but right now it's like, so yeah, right now I
Yeah.
would rely on guys like J.K. Dobbins and Ramondre Stevenson, because remember,
Right.
for a lot of these rookies, we said they would emerge in the second half of the season. Well, you got
Yes.
to go with their replacements for the time being, right? So that's something to keep in mind.
What about this
So
guy?
which guy you got there? Oh,
Cam
geez, Mr.
Scatterbo.
Mason.
You
Are you,
got Cam
are you
Scatterbo. Yeah, the
oh,
guy who the
Scatabo? Yeah,
Giants.
Scatabo.
Scatterbo. Starter.
Scatabo is definitely outperforming Tyrone Tracy. At first, we
Yes,
were
he is.
nervous about him.
Mm,
And so, but yeah, he's looking fantastic. And the other one that we weren't sure when he was going to emerge, but we were confident he was going to emerge is Jordan Mason in Minnesota right now.
yeah,
Jordan
Jordan Mason
Mason
is
in
good.
Minnesota,
Yes.
because Aaron, what's his name, Jones. Aaron Jones is
Aaron Jones is hurt, I think. Isn't he hurt
he
or is he
is
have
he's on the
conditioning time?
IR. It's now
Right.
Jordan Mason's backfield to do with as he wishes. The same like when CMC went out last year. So you were
Yes, I
about to see a
remember.
big uptick in Jordan Mason. So be ready for it, boys. Anybody who drafted that guy, kept him on your bench, have him in your starting lineup, at least at your flex position this week.
I'll say this, somebody who's really, really impressed me, in general, and people are gonna be shocked by this, but don't be surprised if this guy maybe get some MVP votes. Dak Prescott. And I'm
Yes.
saying as his offense, I'm talking about the Dallas Cowboys, they have a lot of Bengals in them. They are going to score a lot of points. You know why? Because their defense is gonna let a lot of points be scored. So they have to literally
Yes.
catch up,
Yes.
and that means everybody on the Cowboys, skill position should be in play. We're talking about CD. You probably have CD already starting. Pickens, Pickens
Yeah.
is picking up. So in fantasy
Yeah.
owners, y'all get on Pickens to start up. And when you look at a lot of the leaders in terms of offense, Ramondre Stevenson, running back.
Hmm.
Obviously, you're gonna start him. Chuba Hubbard starting on the
Yeah.
Panthers. He's starting to get hot. Bucky
Yeah.
Irvin, Buccaneers. You better start him. Travis
Yeah.
Etienne. I don't know how consistent this is gonna be going, but Travis Etienne is feeling himself in that backfield. Y'all
It's
better
his
get on
backfield
top
right
of him.
now. It's
Yes,
his
he is.
backfield right now, and he's going to get the touches.
Yes,
What's his
sir.
name? Tootin Bayshon. How's that pronounced? Tootin and
Yeah, Bayshun Tutton. Yeah, I
Bayshon
have him right
Tootin.
here. Yeah,
Now,
he's
now,
all right. He's pretty good too.
watch
Yeah.
out now. He may because we know Etienne. He's another one of these guys that you should have him stored on your bench because we know Etienne's ankles are a bit fragile. He's like
Right.
HN, like he's gonna go down at some point. And Tootin has already demonstrated his like that guy can do. He can catch out of the backfield and go up the middle. He kind of reminds me. He
Mm.
Tootin reminds me of what was his name? Maurice Jones-Drew, that bowling ball that Jacksonville had
Mhm.
years ago. You watch out, man.
JD.
Tootin may be a league winner for somebody this year. Guys like Ollie Gordon, Bill
Mhm.
Merritt, all these guys we talked about. Bill Merritt, another guy, by the way, is quickly
Oh,
moved up the draft chart, or not the draft chart,
okay.
but the depth chart. Right? He's ready to
Okay.
go. People said, be careful. It's a three-headed monster, blah, 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 blah. But Brian Jones got traded. They had another injury. I forget to who, or they faded Rodriguez. But it's now two guys, and McCroskey Merritt's your lead back. Rookie, seventh
Oh,
round
okay.
draft pick.
Okay. That's what I love about fantasy. You can find these gems. My
Right?
thing is, I personally like the Seahawks defense. By the way, y'all get better watch out for
Yes.
that. And in terms of you're talking about tight ends, there's this guy, this tight end, I think on the Seahawks, AJ Burner. Barner, I
Yes.
think that's his name. He's those are the two bright spots about the Seahawks. Obviously, Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet, I think might be hurt, but think about the Seahawks defense. They've been balling, and this guy AJ Barner, he looks like their lead tight end right there. He's been looking
You
pretty
know,
good.
the
He's
other
a little
guy,
gem in the background. Mhm.
for Seattle, quiet as it's kept, right? I mean, some people were a little bit shy about Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Oh, JSN. Yeah,
he
he's good.
hasn't shot the lights
Mhm.
out, but he's done well. And did you see
Yes, sir.
Sam Darnold gave him his big ups when he went by him when he was interviewing on camera the other day? Darnold stops and photo bombs the interview and says best receiver in the NFL. Well, no wonder.
Oh,
No
yes, sir.
wonder. No wonder
The
he
baller.
said that. Darnold has given him a 44% share of the receiving.
Oh,
So
oh.
Njigba is going to put up big numbers eventually.
I'm telling you, man, big time, big time. I don't know why I had a brave thought about Njigba. Bro has been balling. Y'all, fantasy football owners, managers, get ready for it. And we got to do one of my favorite parts about it, man. Cause me, I be liking manyan, man. I don't know about you. I like a little manyan. I like to put a little something on the grill, on the barbecue grill. When I
Some
talk about the grill,
Mannion.
I'm
You
talking
had me
about the
lost there for a second. I thought this was a running back I hadn't heard about. You were like
nah,
some
nah, nah.
Manya?
Some
As a
money, some bread,
Nanya
some
Manya?
Skrilla,
All
you know what I'm saying? Talking about that Skrilla, that cash, that loot, you feel me?
yeah. Yes, man. That
So we talk about the
scatterall
lines
for
of
real.
trade, you know what I
Let's
mean?
talk
Yeah,
money.
feel me? Done know.
well,
What you got?
well, well.
Mm,
I'm gonna jinx myself and curse myself right now as I do a little. I'm currently
we
against the
knocking
spread.
on
I'm
wood. We knocking on wood.
2011. I'm 21-11 out the gate against the spread on ESPN so far this year.
Okay,
Puts me in
okay,
the
okay.
puts me in the 96th percentile, right? So there's your fire
Mm,
bracket. But so I
go.
and the odd thing is I'm 23-9 straight up, right? I'm almost like it's
Oh,
like so my spread picks have been doing okay so far. So touch wood that continues. But I've
let's touch
targeted
wood.
a couple real quickly here because again,
Okay.
right? You're always looking for those large spreads. Like we all knew Buffalo was going to kick the crap out of Miami. It was a matter of whether that 12.5 point spread, which dropped to 11, was enough. And sure enough, they covered, right? Miami actually
Covered.
covered, even though they got the doors blown off. So
Just a quick pause, Unc. For first off, just want to tell everybody if you're here, smash that like button. Appreciate people coming in the building. Get in the
yes,
chat, get active with us. We like coordinating, tapping in with y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. If you're watching on the replay, we love and appreciate y'all. We want to hear y'all speak.
yeah,
If y'all have fantasy people or if y'all have any lines and spreads you want us to cover in particular right now, this is a live broadcast. We here for y'all.
absolutely,
Go ahead.
absolutely.
Mm,
Um,
yes, sir.
ones I have targeted for this week that I like. I like the Indy Tennessee matchup for one because it's it's your AFC North battle, right? So it's going to be sloppy and messy before it's all done. And 5 points I think is a little rich for Indy, no matter how well they've done. Tennessee
Mm,
has quietly played excellent defense so far this year. And I
mm,
believe Cam Ward gets it going today. I think he finally. I think Indianapolis has been trying for 2 weeks to find a formula to help
right.
Cam Ward out, and they're getting closer. And as Cam Ward gets more comfortable, I think he's going to be more proficient. And I think it starts today in that Indy because they're playing at home in Nashville. So I just think that
Yeah.
they're a good candidate
Yeah.
to cover that 5 points.
Okay.
Um, I
Okay.
also I also like the over on that 43.5. I think this is going to be a higher scoring game than we might imagine. Because
Mhm.
the next guy, right? The next guy we're always looking at and complaining about is Calvin Ridley. He's had a couple duds in a row, but he's not going
Yes,
to be
yes.
a dud all year, right? The guy's going to be a top 15 receiver at the end of the season. I think
Right.
today is a good candidate for him to perform well.
Mm,
Pollard too, right? Now the other one I like is Atlanta at Carolina. I think that game
okay.
is going to be close, probably 2 or 3 points. But the point spread's 44 and the over under is
Ooh.
44. So I like the over on that, and I like Carolina to cover the four and a half
It
points.
might have moved to 46 and a half, and yeah, it moved in terms of the over under.
Okay.
46
Because,
and a half. Yeah. Not
right.
that much, but yeah,
But
movement, but still
well,
some. Yeah.
significant still, right? They usually move half
Right.
to a point, right? 2.5 points. That means that the bettors are thinking like I am, right? Historically,
Gonna go up.
these
Hmm.
NFC South matchups are kind of wild, right?
Right,
Um,
right.
the other one I find interesting is the one we were just talking about, and that's Green Bay at Cleveland. It's seven and
Oh,
a half points, right? So Green Bay has to win by 8 or more. And I
right.
have a feeling that Cleveland's defense is good enough to keep that score low. I can see
Oh.
Green Bay winning today, but not
Mm,
by, I don't think seven, because 7.5 implies they'll probably win by either 3 field goals or a field goal and a touchdown type of thing. And I think
yeah.
Cleveland is capable of making Jordy make a couple mistakes with the pressure. I don't think
Right.
there's going to be a lot of interceptions necessarily. I just don't see the 7.5. So I'm actually going to go with Cleveland to cover on that one.
Cleveland covering.
And
Okay. Oh, it's
yeah,
bold. Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
actually, all of these are underdog picks now that I look at it.
Yeah, because
Um,
I'm thinking, looking at a trend. I'm looking, so okay.
well, because I mean, where do we really
That's
make
not
our
bad.
money, right? Where do we really make
Right.
our
You're
money?
right.
It's on the
On
underdog
the
picks,
unders.
right?
On the unders.
Zagging when
Absolutely.
other people zig, right?
Facts.
So the other one I have is the Jets are visiting Tampa Bay, right? They're just going down I
Oh,
95 and across the state, right? They're not flying across the country or anything. They're just heading down, same time zone, all that stuff, right? So not too
uh-huh.
daunting a visit. And now Tampa Bay is favored by 6.5 points.
Mm.
And I again believe Tampa Bay should win this game. Now Fields is out. We got Tyrod Taylor, right? So,
Rod.
um, but he loves Garrett. He's very comfortable with Garrett Wilson, right? So I have a feeling that they're going to score more points than the over under indicates. So I'm taking the over, and I'm taking the Jets to cover 6.5. They might lose by 6, but 6 still covers.
Yeah, man, I like that. And also the Bucks. I don't know what's up with them. They love a tight football game. They don't, they
Is
never outright
do
beat
they
a
ever
guy. They
do
take it
they
to the
ever win?
last second.
Do, do they ever win by a full touchdown? Like really? Like
Never, bro. Never. Maybe like 2 points, a field goal, a Baker Mayfield comeback. They never win just
sure.
straight.
It's exciting. They play great ball. I love them Bucks, and I really like Baker Mayfield. But 6.5 points against this Jets team that has shown some confidence and some defense, maybe
Yeah,
not.
man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I
Jets
like
as
this,
road
man.
warriors. Jets as road warriors.
Chances.
How did
Oh,
that
we go.
happen?
You know what's interesting, Unc? I have a question for you. I have one in particular for me that I really am interested in, for just the simple fact of what's been going on. I'm thinking about this Raiders and Commanders, and I really wanted to get in a little bit of a Raiders deep dive, but we can maybe talk about that another time or next week. But it's looking like they're looking at over 44 and a half. They got the Commanders are somehow favored by this by 3 points. That's what the spread is saying.
I don't
And
buy it.
I'm a little I'm a little surprised by this because the Raiders in their losses have looked alright, have looked okay. Unc,
Yep.
what are your thoughts, your quick hits on this Raiders Commanders game? I think it's gonna be more fascinating than people think. What do you think,
Yes,
Unc?
yeah. Yeah, no, that performance that Geno Smith put in up in New England tells us that like he's going to blow hot or cold sometimes, but when he blows hot, especially like him and Jacoby Myers is probably the most underrated wide receiver in the league. And of course Ashton Genty, right? So potent
Mhm.
offense and competent coaching from Pete Carroll makes the Raiders automatically better this year. And Jaden Daniels, as we told you, right, they may be a better team this year, but I think they're going to lose more games. And now he's injured. So
Yeah.
I purposely left this game alone because
Oh, you left it
because of all
alone.
these variables, right? But I
Fair
think they're
play.
playing in DC, right? In the 1 o'clock
Yeah,
window.
their 1 o'clock window there in DC for me.
So I hate West Coast teams or far out West teams like playing in that early window on the East Coast because it's like 10 in the morning for them and all that thing. So and
Right.
3 points isn't really definitive. One of those teams is going to win probably by 3 points, so it's probably going to be a
Simple.
wash anyways, right? So I avoided that game like the plague. And because
Fair
I'm
play.
unsure with Jaden Daniels being out, how Washington will respond with Mariota, because it hasn't always been great in the past. So I left that game alone. But if you pressed me and held a gun to my head, I would take the Raiders.
Nice, nice. I was feeling the Raiders as well. But you know what? I think because Ashton Genty called out his offensive coordinator, his coaching, I think Genty is going to have a surprising game because
Did
the
he really?
Commanders, yeah, he kind of said something in the press conference saying, "Oh, being drafted so high, I want to kind of be used." Something like that. I'm paraphrasing. I'm
Whoa,
paraphrasing. But he kind of called out
the
Chip Kelly.
rookie.
He kind of called,
Look
kind
at
of
the
called, and
rookie
I'm like.
call. Look at the rookie calling out people. Shit.
I'm like, but then you look at it like he's only getting 10 carries, brother.
Yep.
Like what? You
Yep.
draft him sixth overall to give him 10 carries, brother, or 11?
But it's
Like what are
it's
we
early.
doing?
It's early
Oh,
days and he hasn't been that efficient yet. So
exactly,
he's
exactly.
learning a little bit, but yeah, come on, man. We all know volume is the cure to this disease.
Come on, man. And you know what? My last one that I've been looking at is this Lions Ravens game. I'm excited, but if I look at just the history of the Baltimore Ravens versus NFC teams, talking about how Lamar's been doing, I think obviously I kind of agree with it. The over under they're saying 49 and 45, 49 and a half, so it's high scoring. They got Ravens by 4.5 points. I think the Lions might cover. I think it's going to be tighter than that. But Ravens are favored. Unc, what are your
I
thoughts on this Monday night game? Yeah, what are your thoughts?
I'm cheering for the Ravens. I'm
Let's
cheering for the
go.
Ravens as an AFC North guy. I'm cheering for the
Right.
Ravens. I believe Lions cover that spread again. 4.5 is a weird number,
Yeah,
and
straight
yes,
up.
I do believe it's going to be uber close. But Lord have mercy, take the over.
Mm, I'm taking the over. Of
Take the
course, yes.
over on that one. That is an oofer. Like that's big, man. I have a feeling they might cover that over by halftime.
Oh, straight up, man. And that's our lines and spreads for the week, man. We going a bit overtime. I don't care, man. We having fun, man. I'm having fun on this pod.
Sure,
But we
man.
are introducing a new segment for y'all as we close out the episode, man. And we appreciate y'all. I want us to talk about our top five teams of the week. Going
Yep.
into week 3, what are our top five teams? Let's see people in the chat. By the way, shout out Anthony in the chat. I didn't see you. He's like, Gino needs to do better still, but I believe in him. Yes,
Yes.
Gino has underperformed. Shout out to you. Let's see what he's saying. He said he is being used. Yup, that's what Genty said.
Well,
Love the confidence in him. Appreciate that. Ravens gonna win, boys. By the way, Anthony is a big Eagles fan,
oh,
so
really?
he missed some of our Eagles talk earlier. But shout out Anthony in the chat.
Well,
Appreciate you for coming and supporting the gang. You know what I mean?
Anthony
Yeah.
will like my next comments then.
Oh snap! What are your top five teams in the league, brother? Tell us
Right.
who are your top five teams.
All
Five to
right.
one. What you
Start
got?
okay. Starting number five. I kind of have a shared title, right? I can't really decide between the two because their points for, points against are both the same. Their record is
Right.
the same. They're both atop their division, and that's the Bucks and 49ers. Both kind of like
Mm,
in that position where you have to kind of give it up to them, but they're both kind of about the same.
nice,
Number
nice.
four, number four, I have the Ravens, even though they're 1-1, just simply
Mm,
because the way they lost that one game was just, come on, man. We all talked about that.
crazy.
We could see the power that is the Ravens. It's hard to leave them out of any top five, power five conversation. Same with the
Right.
Lions, even though they lost to Green Bay, like they lost to a really good team in a good game, came back, blew the doors off the following week to make up for it. There's
Right.
nothing to convince me that the Lions aren't the same team that they were last year. So
Mm,
therefore, top five power team, absolutely, until shown otherwise. I've got the Packers at number two for all the
ooh.
reasons we
Okay.
discussed earlier, and I've got the Bills at 3-0. So yeah, that's my power five for right now. And I will say, I have the Packers in there. Now, I did have the Eagles in there at number two. So reality is the Eagles should probably be actually number five over the Bucks and 49ers. So my
Okay.
reasoning
Okay.
on the Eagles, we talked about the Eagles earlier. They did this exact same thing last year. They spent the first 5 weeks of the season, fumbling around with 1 and 2 point victories and games we felt they shouldn't have won, etc. And then all of a sudden, their defense really turned it on and got hot, and down the stretch they went. I have a feeling we're dealing with the same animal here this year. I believe
Yeah.
that with the tush push being affirmed and as a valid move, I believe therefore they will be doubling down on the tush push and its effectiveness. So, what does this
Yeah.
mean for Philly? It means Philly, and this sort of harkens back to fantasy. I left this out when we were talking about fantasy, but fantasy is now a dead zone for wide receiver numbers for Philly. They literally are like
Right.
a ground and pound team
Right.
between the Eagles and Saquon. Like,
Right.
shit, where's AJ Brown? Where's Devonta Smith? A lot of fantasy managers are asking that question right now. Like, whither
Yeah.
AJ Brown? Like, people are saying, what can I get for him? What should I trade him? All that type of thing. I wouldn't go there quite yet. Their time is coming. But right
Yeah.
now, Philly is a ground and pound team, and that's it. Yeah, that's like,
Yeah.
wow, their running game.
I'm a,
But they're
yeah.
2-0. So, and we know about their defense. So again, it's difficult to leave Philly out of any top five power team conversation.
And to Anthony's comment, what's your take on Devontae Smith? I'm gonna say it like this: I like Devontae Smith, but like Unc said, you cannot play him in fantasy. You have to bench him for a little bit. You
Yep,
have to understand what the Eagles are. The Eagles are a ground and pound football team that uses Jalen Hurts as a borderline running back. He's the
that's right.
second running back. And
That's
guess
right.
what? It's leading to dubs. They're on my top five teams as well. And for
So
me, you go ahead. What are your thoughts? I'm
So,
hearing.
well, it's a very good question about what to do with AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, and the reality is that you can't do
Yes.
shit, right? You
Can't
can't
do
get
shit.
anything for them on the trade market, and it's difficult to use them right now. So until we see otherwise, like you have to be very Devonta definitely on the bench, and AJ, it's hard to leave him off because like you drafted him probably in the third or fourth round, right? He's a major wide
Right.
receiver one asset for you, but they have to be discounted given the way that the Eagles are playing at the moment, and that really
Mhm.
sucks if you're a fantasy manager. But this does happen from time to time. But there's going to come a time where Philly says, okay, we got everybody thinking we're ground and pound and running out, run, 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 run. This
Exactly.
week we're going air, right? And
Yes.
all of a sudden,
Yes.
and all of a sudden, AJ Brown gets 150 yards and two touchdowns, and Devonta gets 85 and one, right? So,
Yeah.
like, you can't count them out. They're going to get their time, but this is why we draft other viable assets, especially when there are so many of them in the wide receiver market. So go out there and find you. Just go on the waiver wire, find somebody. I like Estime, that guy down in that rookie emerging down in Tampa Bay. Like if any of these
Right.
assets, like if you're in a 10 or 12 league team, people can't own all the emerging rookies right now.
No.
So
No. No.
here's a trick that I do sometimes with my waiver wire to find talent that I may not even have heard of or even aware that they're doing, and
Mm.
that is, you just get the waiver wire, you put in all players, including the players that are on teams, you put all the stats cumulative of the year, and you just
Mm.
see if there's anybody with that green plus sign that somehow in the top 15 or 20 that you didn't realize they'd done that well, that maybe you didn't know about their mom before, like Quentin Johnson, for example. And
Quentin Johnson.
you
Yeah.
grab a
Huge.
guy like that and you play him instead of AJ Brown for a couple of weeks. That's it. That's how you survive what's going on in Philly's passing game right now.
And I want to add this to Anthony's question where AJ this year, for me, I'm saying AJ, Tyreek Hill, those two are on big trade alert. So I'm saying whatever team they might go to, then you can press the line on them. But like Unc said, though, there will be games because the Eagles, what they do is they do matchups. When they have a team that has great D line play and linebackers, you better know AJ and Devontae Smith are gonna have a major game because they'll
Like,
have to go past aerial.
like,
Because
like what,
let's say they play like the Colts. The Colts have a great D line. You
right?
know what I mean?
Like,
Or they play
what,
Houston. Houston has a
what do
good
you
D
think is
line.
going to
You know
happen
what I mean?
when they play
Yeah.
Dallas this year, right? Like
Oh
they
yeah,
played
of
Dallas
course.
twice this year, right? Like, what
Come
do you
on,
think
you
is going
already
to
know
happen, man?
they're
Yo,
gonna launch that ball. They're gonna launch it. You know what I mean? They're gonna play. You know what? They're gonna play the Giants. They're gonna play the Giants. Giants have a crazy good D line. They have no choice but to pass. So
right?
be patient. That's what I would do.
So
But
there you
the
go.
Eagles are in my top five too, by the way.
There's
But
so there
yeah,
you
go ahead.
go. There's four games
Go
at
matchups.
least that
Yep.
AJ Brown and Devonta Smith are going to be back for, guaranteed, right? So there you go. Anyway, so what's your five look like, son?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. For me, I'm gonna start with number five, which I argue they could be higher. The Colts, man. The Colts are
Okay.
number five, 2-0. And let me tell you something. They call him now Indiana Jones. Yes, Daniel Jones. I know it make no sense, but Indiana Jones has been balling. And by the way, Jonathan Taylor has come up as a huge, huge running back, fantasy
I
wise. Whoever
wanted him.
drafted him,
I
he is
wanted him.
playing,
I
balling out
drafted
of
low.
control.
I had to choose between him and Lamar.
Oh, honestly, either choice was great because Lamar's balling as well.
That's
Number
the way I
two
said
on
it
my
too. That's the
yes,
way I
sir.
said
That's
it
not a
too.
that's not a bad pick. Number two for me is the Eagles. The reason I don't have them higher is because the next three teams I'm gonna have up is because They just have been showing me better performances. But I got my Eagles as my number 4 team. You can put them anywhere 3-2. That could work as well. Shout out to the Eagles.
Yeah.
And we just talked about them a second ago. Number 3, surprising. It's gonna surprise some people, or maybe not surprise too many people, because y'all know me. I got the Ravens. I got the Ravens for the
Yeah.
simple fact that in their two performances, they put up 41 points.
Yes.
You can't deny that. You put
That's
up
why I have them
41
in too.
points in 2 games, like brother, that's a crazy lethal offense.
Yeah.
The defense, that's the Achilles heels of the Ravens. Mutabike Van Noy are ruled out for the Lions game tomorrow. Goes back to our theory that we said this is going to be a high scoring game, brother. High scoring game because the defenses are going to be on off. The offenses are going to be 40-point scoring offenses, 50-point scoring offenses. You're going to have an offensive explosion. Everybody for fantasy should be starting this game. Derrick Henry, Lamar, Zay
Yeah.
Flowers.
Oh yeah. All your
You know what I'm
Ravens and
talking about?
Lions, man. Oh
They
snap.
better start this week, man, because they can win you your fantasy league tomorrow. And number 2, I know it's gonna sound a bit weird, but I got the Packers, man. I got the Packers. Packers for the simple fact that they have been dominant. The defense is scary. They're putting up 27 points, making other teams score less than 20 points. If your defense is stopping the other guys from scoring 20 points, you're on the right track. I think that that's going to be huge
Hmm.
going into their next matchups going throughout the season. And number
Yep.
1, I hate saying it, man, but when you can't argue versus 3-0. Me and Anka are in agreement.
Yep.
You cannot argue versus 3-0. And the way that this is interesting is the way they're winning,
The
not just
way
the
they're at
wins.
3 and
Is
0.
the way they're
Exactly.
winning. When you win a game versus a Miami team that takes you to the brink and you cause that team to make mental errors and you don't make any errors, I
Yep.
think if Josh Allen has went like 15 some games with no turnovers, some ridiculous stat. That's how you win football games. You don't
Yeah.
give them the ball, you take the ball. And those are our top 5 teams of the week, y'all. These are our top 5 teams. Y'all get in the chat. I know Anthony has the top 5 team. I'm gonna give him a second to talk about that. But Unc, what did you think of my list? A few differences, but a lot of similarities too, brother. Yeah,
You know what? Like, I can't really argue with it because we are talking about top 5 teams now, not like potential
right
rest of
now.
season and
Yeah,
all that crap, right? So
no,
yeah, I
yeah,
have no argument at all with the Indianapolis one. In a
yeah,
way, it's a more creative choice
yeah.
because yeah, you have to be impressed with the way Indianapolis is playing right now. As far as
Uh,
Daniel Jones, I mean, this is what
mm,
we just keep saying, right? It's like he's what in year 3, year 4 of his contract now.
right,
Like he should be looking like this. And we've never argued with
right,
his ability to run. I
yeah,
guess really what this does is really make Brian Daboll look bad a little bit. Like maybe he's not that
right.
imaginative a call player. Maybe like his
Yeah.
offensive systems really aren't that sophisticated because man, Indy sure seems to know how to use Daniel Jones.
They use him perfectly, man. He went on some crazy thing where they didn't have any punts for like a game, something crazy like that. I'm
Yeah.
like, what the hell? And I'm like,
Well,
what's going on? The Indies
well,
looking very good, not crazy.
part of it's
Yeah,
their opposition. I mean, it'll get a little stiffer as it goes along, but I mean, give me a break, man. Who, if
yeah.
anybody tells me they had Daniel Jones as 30 fantasy points in week 1 and like top 4 fantasy quarterback asset to at the beginning of week 3, like nobody would have taken you seriously.
Man, I would have laughed you out the building, bro. I would have been like, "Are you out of your damn mind, freaking Daniel freaking Jones?" But I
How
will
old
say
you
one
now,
thing.
boy? You
Yeah, what
mud?
you talking about? Madness.
You mud? Yeah,
I, I
for
I will
real.
say one team that really has impressed me as we go through the week 3. Before I let you go, Unc, these LA Rams, brother. These LA Rams and the NFC West in general. San Fran 2-0,
Yeah.
Arizona 2-0, Rams 2-0. This Rams team, quiet as kept, in the background. Everybody like the stream, by the way. Appreciate y'all for liking and
Yeah.
supporting.
Stat,
What are your
stat.
final thoughts about the Rams and the NFC West? They're looking fantastic, the NFC West. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah,
Stafford's playing out of his mind, right? Like
crazy. Madness, yeah.
he's once again, like for the third time in the last 5 years, seems to have rediscovered the fountain of youth. Think about it. That
Right.
guy's in his 17th year. He graduated from Georgia in what was it, class of 2007? Like was drafted
Yes.
in '08 or something. Like, damn, dude. Anyway,
Yeah.
so but what's the quiet as it's kept part is that their pass rush is as ferocious as Green Bay's right now or Cleveland's.
Oh, yes. Yes,
Dude,
sir. Yes,
that's
sir.
the issue, right? That's the issue. They are coming. So get ready for it. And, just the rest of their assets are just, getting their usual amount of volume. Puka Nakua is playing great, all that type of thing.
Hmm.
But their defense is outstanding, and they have fantastic leadership in Matthew Stafford. And, of course, the good coaching, right?
Sean
LA is,
McVay.
LA Rams, good pick on the comer. We'll look for them in the top five at some point this season if they keep playing the way that they have been playing.
The top five list will definitely expand, and I will tell you this: we got a game today. Actually less than 45 minutes, where somebody might hop in and hop out of the top five. Talking about Rams versus Eagles
That's
splitting
it.
tonight. This is going to be a fantastic game. I don't even know if I should put money on any team because I might lose my shit. You know what I mean? Shout out to Anthony in the chat. He has number five Niners, number four Colts, Ravens, number three Eagles, two Packers, number one. Anthony, that's a great list. Hey man, we appreciate each and every one of y'all for being here. Get ready for some football, guys. Four people in the chat. Love and appreciate y'all. Before y'all head out, smash that like button, like, comment, sub. And Unc right there is gonna have something new coming for y'all. When he's ready, he's gonna give me the green light to give y'all the green light. Appreciate Anthony in the chat. Unc, any last words for the people them?
Just looking at, we're thinking about maybe expanding the lines and spread segment. So maybe like do a, 15, 20-minute segment every week on the full slate rather than just five, right? So that's something I'm
Yes,
working
sir.
on. Yeah, we're working on the production values right now.
Man, we appreciate y'all more than you know. Shout out to Chris in the chat. Hey man, it's Unc and nephew season four.
Yeah,
FOMO,
dude.
and we out this piece.
All right.
Peace.
Loved everybody and enjoy the games, man. Ready for some
Let's go.
football.
Gang, gang.